But another way to really effectively improve processing is through occlusion. So, this is a wonderful platform for occlusion, and it's really a fascinating way to really improve that pitch recognition piece. I think that's what a word that's going to resonate with a lot of the coaches that visit us on Sport Vision Pros is a lot of times they say, my athlete just doesn't seem to recognize the pitch. He's so slow on that pitch recognition. He's got the great technique. He looks great. He's strong. He's got a strong swing. His swing is flat through the zone. Everything looks great. He just seems to be missing the pitch or picking the wrong pitches to swing at. So what can we do to improve that pitch recognition? And obviously that's simplifying a little bit of the technology of gameSense, but I think that's a word that resonates with a lot of coaches. So can we talk a little bit about specifically the platform, what gameSense looks like? You gave us a little bit of a snippet there. It's a video-based platform. You're looking at pictures, live pictures, not animated pictures. Can they be changed? Can you interchange those pictures? How does it work if I start working on gameSense today? Tell me a little bit about the platform and what it looks like.
All right. Well, I'm just going to show the phone here, if that's if that's okay. So you saw one of those drills, and I should show you. You saw the cutoff one, and then for your replay, now you see the full pitch. You see how you're seeing the whole shape of the pitch, and that's really what pitch recognition is about. So we're asking people, what's the type of pitch? Fastball, curveball, changeup. We're not actually that interested in that. What we're trying to do is connect the dots. This is what I see out of the pitcher's hand, and this is what it means to me at the plate. I'm making that connection, that dot, and basically you're predicting. It's basically a prediction based on that visual input. So we've got those two things. You've got that and the replay you're trying to put together, and then as you look at the library on this, you'll see that there's like a whole bunch of pictures. I got to get it so that we don't get a reflection, so that you get a whole bunch of pictures, and some of them are pro ones. And it's really important what you said, that they're actual pictures. This is not a VR thing where you've got an animation of it. And these are young guys. So, a lot of the people now we're interested in working on that are 13, 14, 15 years old. So these are 14 and 15-year-old pitchers in here. And if you choose one of those, then you get all these different levels. That's not a good way to see that, but you can just see that there's a bunch of them. And so the different levels are, okay, you're going to see a third of the ball flight, or you're going to see less than that. So your reward, just like a video game, your reward for beating a level is you get a harder level until you get to the wicked level, which is it's cut off right out of the hand.
Sure.
And so, people are really looking to see that out of that window. We sometimes talk about switch your gaze over to that window and see the pitcher's hand coming through, but they haven't really had a way to practice that. So this is just a way to practice that, to go into the the visual gym and work on that, the visual kind of hitting cage. And if you do it like 15 minutes a day, just going through those different things, basically, and we say play it 15 minutes a day. It's not like a workout. You just play the game with that, and 15 minutes a day for a week adds up to about 200 over the course of a month, 200 at-bats. So in a month of doing that, no, I'm sorry, in a week of doing that, in a week of playing the game 15 minutes a day, you're getting the equivalent of a college baseball season's worth of at-bats. For a high school player, that's 2 to 3 times a whole season in one. And so, especially as those players, the softball and baseball hitters are coming up, they just haven't seen that many pitches. You'll hear some of the coaches talking about building up your mental database. And that's really what it is. You've seen so many pitches coming out in different kinds of ways, and knowing that it comes out like that, it ends up here. I'm swinging, or I'm not swinging, or I'm adjusting my swing. We don't want to just make it like, okay, it's about, am I going to swing or not? Like, oh, the goal is to draw walks, because it's not. The goal is to recognize, oh, that if it's softball, that's a drop ball. I've got to work at it this way to hit it. It's a rise ball, I'm going to lay off, because that's the only way you can hit a rise ball, is to not swing at it and get another pitch to hit. Yeah. If it's one of those good ones.
Well, and that's a great point. I know from my experience that, it's a platform we use for baseball and softball. So I think that's important to get out there, that it is a baseball and softball platform at this point. And it is, again, live pitchers. So, without necessarily having a scouting report on the next high school pitcher you might be facing, or again, that elite travel level pitcher at 13, 14 years old, all the way up to collegiate and the pros. You may not have the actual person there, but let's say you're facing a hard-throwing lefty or someone who throws a lot of off-speed stuff who's a right-hander. You can pick that profile of the pitcher who may not be the actual pitcher, but throws the same sort of pitches. So I think that's really relevant too. And again, you mentioned that it goes down to as low about 13, 14 years old. What's the upper level? I know we've done some filming in our organization to kind of help out with gameSense up at the AA, even AAA level of professional baseball. Is that right?
Yeah, we're just coming off of something with where we were making it free at no cost to all the minor leaguers. And so several of the organizations, including the Nationals, took us up on that. Especially they had guys. There was one story about some of their Latin guys who were kind of quarantined at a hotel, nice hotel, and so most of the story was about one of the assistant coaches and his wife who were bringing them in, food from home.
Yeah.
Some of the Latin food, but they also mentioned, and they've got this iPad app, to work on the pitch recognition. And it's like, oh, hey, that's us. And that was the idea there, just to give them something light to work on, to kind of stay sharp with it. So, it works up at least into the lower minor leagues. I think, as you mentioned, probably about AA or so. Now they're going to want to start seeing the pitcher they're going to face that night. But it's really important that you mentioned this notion of at the lower levels where you're trying to develop. And that's from, age 13 on up through high A, et cetera, and the minor leagues, where the goal really is development. You don't actually want that guy, the person you're going to face that this evening or tomorrow or on the weekend or whatever. It's like spell check, right? Does spell check make you a better speller? It makes your spelling better, but it doesn't make you a better speller. Quite the opposite, actually. So, you want to do exactly what you said, which is, okay, I'm not going to see that person, but I know somebody in the app who's kind of like that. I've seen side armors there, the scouting report. So you're actually working on a hitter's ability to really use a scouting report. So that if you're the coach and you're going in there and you're saying, okay, this is a 3/4 slot guy, and he's going to throw a slider in any count, and he's going to throw it right in the strike zone. So you can kind of pick up that hump, and the earlier hitters are going up back and they're saying, oh yeah, you can pick that, just don't give up on it. All of this becomes actionable because you can kind of just insert that information, and you're building this general ability to adjust to that. And that's what we want. And that's the big word now that you hear, like in the minor leagues, as they train hitters, with the pitching getting better and better all the time, is adjustability. And so, in fact, I'm going to steal that from you. I mean, that's actually why you don't want that specific person, because what we're trying to train is I can adjust. I can adjust based on a scouting report. I can adjust based on what I see on deck. I can adjust based on what another hitter tells me. Oh yeah, that guy seems to be, he's like muscling up on his changeup. I don't know how it just feels like that. Okay, that's usable information. So try and give the hitters just a little bit of help against these pitchers who keep getting better and better.
Well, and I can tell you, I mean, obviously from the enhancements in baseball in general, you get up to a AA, AAA level, you have guys that are throwing high 90s in AA. So, you can go to about the extreme of a pitch that you could possibly see at any level, all the way up into the 40-man roster on a Major League Baseball squad through an app like this. And again, one of the things that I really love about gameSense, for me personally, is just the team that you've built to work on this. And this is something founded in really good science. That you have a lot of incredible individuals with great credentials and PhDs and real science people that have put together a program and an app that's really founded in science. It wasn't a matter of throwing it on the wall to see if it stuck. This was really something that was done with a lot of thought behind it, and something that does work. And we have the studies to prove it. So again, that made us comfortable as an organization, and myself comfortable as a practitioner to recommend a product like this to my athletes. So I certainly appreciate that. One of the things I really wanted to get back to a little bit was the usage protocol. You talked a little bit about how to use gameSense. If we take that step, we've learned about it, we've signed up for gameSense, now we're going to use it. You talked about how often it should be used. So I want to get a little into how often we should use the program, And then is it something that's sort of a one and done program, or is it something, because now we have a stronger brain and we have that brain forever? Or is it really like I kind of relate a lot to my athletes, is that it's like going into the cage to take batting practice. You may take off a little bit in the off season, but once it comes back to your season, you got to get back into those same reps, either physically in the gym or in the batting cage, or in this case, mentally. Is it something that needs to be done season after season? And when it's done, how often should it be done? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, sure. If somebody were at home now and they're saying, yeah, I want to put together a program on that, you're probably going to use it 15 minutes a day. And you don't really want to use it any more than that. It's just like the weight room, you can overdo those things and you're just not concentrating and getting good reps. And if it's more of an off-season thing, or you've already kind of built up your skill, then you're maintaining it. Maybe you're doing it 2 or 3 days a week. You still want to be doing it in those 12 to 15 minute segments. These drills are about 10 minutes, are about 10 pitches long. Takes about a minute and a half. You're seeing the review and everything like that. So I recommend just approaching it kind of like you would a video game, except you can choose what level. So this is kind of interesting. A lot of people, they're like, okay, I'm going to start with full pitch. I see the pitch all the way in. I see the whole shape of the pitch. I got that. That's kind of a training wheels type of level. And then there's a basic training level, which is what we showed, about a third of the ball flight. And a lot of people say, okay, I got there. I meet my mastery score, and the app will tell you, ding, you're ready to move up. And then you can get the advanced one, which is only showing, from here to there, only about 6 or 8 feet of ball flight out of there, and you really have to get sharp at it. But then there are other people who say, hey, that's all I want to do. And if they score low, they just keep hitting their head against that wall until they go through. And from working with athletes, some people wanted, okay, let me stay with what I'm good at and slowly build up my skill. You get the others who just, hey, here's my goal, so I'm just going to keep hitting it until I go through. And so we kind of you kind of have the ability to do either or. But I mean, the recommended way, of course, is just to build that skill nice and progressively as you go along. And therefore, I just read something that said a perfect failure rate is 75% for learning. So it's not too hard so that you give up on it, and yet it's constantly challenging you. So you want to keep putting yourself in that challenge zone. And most of the at-home people, even young people, are going to be self-directing on this. Mom or dad might say, hey, did you do your gameSense today? And that's about it. They're not going to be getting it inside of it with you. So you're going to have to self-direct on it. Decide when you're ready to move on, when you're ready for that challenge. And then we've got this, this is this compete mode. So you can go on the leaderboard. When you're ready, you go on the leaderboard. And what I like about that is sometimes video games, they'll just show you who's best score. That's not what this is. You've got to commit. So when you push the leaderboard, you've kind of got to be ready, because your score is going on the worldwide board. And if you don't do that well, there it is, for your buddies and everybody to see. So that kind of makes it a competition with some teeth in it. And so people will say, well, is it like a game? Well, there's competition. That's what drives us as kids, as adults, especially athletes. Just the competition. You don't need to add in a lot more fun than that. So once we add that leaderboard and you can beat your buddies, then, that and see your own progress, then, that's about as fancy as it gets. So basically, you've got a really basic approach that you repeat a lot, but you've got a lot of different pitchers. You can, at some point, if you're a young hitter, you get that transfer where you go from doing the youth pitchers who are in there, the 14, 15-year-old pitchers, to where you go ahead and step up to the minor leaguers. All the rest of those pitchers are minor leaguers. And we've got guys who are 17 years old still playing high school ball, travel ball, and they're going against those minor leaguers. They're seeing cutters and sliders. Well, they don't maybe not normally see a cutter or a slider, but now they get in one of these showcase tournaments, and they're facing that guy, you know who it is, the one where all the guns come up. All the speed guns come up. They're not coming up for you. They're coming up for him. But if you take one of those sliders and you've got a 17-year-old with a slider and you rip that thing into the alley, well, maybe they're making a couple notes on you too. So that's kind of the progression we'd like to see there.